I can't believe it's come to this. You stare at your phone as ChatGPT responds to your latest question. You're asking a freaking computer advice on how to deal with your boyfriend's behavior. Basically, pouring out your heart to it. At least the chatbot actually seems to listen and give you the time of day. It doesn't feel like anyone else does anymore. And besides, you don't want to worry your friends or family. They have enough on their plate, and things will probably be fine. It's just that this is eating you alive, and you really need some sort of clarity. You just need a little bit of unbiased guidance from a computer. A new block of text pops up on your screen, and you're again questioning how the heck you arrived here. But you pick up the phone and begin to read. I'm Bree.
And I'm Christiana.
Get ready to communicate with computers.
Because you're about to hear something strange.
Welcome to episode 34, AI Psychosis. But before we get into that, we have a pretty exciting guest with us today.
Yes.
And that is Brett from The Haunted Therapist.
Hi, y'all.
Hi, guys.
So go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell our listeners a little bit about you and your show and all of that fun stuff.
So I'm Brett Harp, the Haunted Therapist. I'm a therapist first. I'm a licensed mental health counselor in New York State and EMDR certified. And I also host the Haunted Therapist podcast. I myself am not haunted, but I'm really into spooky stuff. And it occurred to me one day that as I was speaking with a client, I tend to speak very non-literal, right? Like in metaphors. So, and I find that really helpful for trauma. So I don't know, I just started thinking of trauma almost as like a ghost in a haunted house that is following you around, or our memories haunt us and things like that. And plus I like doing spooky stuff on the side, right? Like paranormal investigations and things like that. So I just kind of like folded it all in. So it's just a way of looking at trauma and therapy through a spooky lens, I guess.
Yeah, and I've listened to a bunch of your episodes, and I absolutely kind of love how you make those connections. I think in one of the early ones, you kind of compared trauma to almost like a mental haunting, and I really liked how that was explained.
Yeah.
Exactly what I'm saying. Yes. That's
Awesome.
it. Thank you for listening.
Oh,
Yeah.
no problem. So was there anything specific that really interested you in podcasting?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how I ended up here. Honestly, like you asked me and I'm like, how did I end up here? I think it was just a way, they say get a hobby, and that was never me. I was like, what do you mean? I don't know what that means. What is a hobby? What am I supposed to do? Like knit or something? I don't really know. Like I was involved in theater and dance my whole life, but that didn't feel like a hobby so much. It's just like something I enjoyed doing. And then I was like, well, duh, that's what a hobby is. So I think that that's really where I'm at with it, is just enjoying, I listen for a living. So now I'm just enjoying using my voice too, to kind of like enter back into the chat of everything and connect with people. I'm meeting like such great people through doing this. So community is such a huge thing, especially when it comes to our topic at hand, Bree.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing those experiences. And it's like, it's one of those things that's like, yeah, it's a hobby, but it's like a whole nother, not that like dance and theater is not, but it's a whole nother level of hobby.
Job.
Yes.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
So scratch what I said. It's not a hobby. It's a second job that we don't get paid for.
Correct. Yes.
But we love it. You can only do this if you really love it. Like, because it is a lot of work. A lot goes into it.
Yes, and I think that is something that maybe people don't always recognize when they first start a podcast is like, oh my goodness, there is all of this.
Yeah, it's not just talking into a microphone.
Right? And speaking of microphones, my microphone that I did have set up completely collapsed right before we started recording.
Oh, no.
So it's not just about talking in a microphone, it's being able to set it up too and know which one to buy and everything like that for sure.
Yes, these are our second iteration. We started off sharing one Yeti.
Yes.
This is our second podcast too. But for like the first year of this podcast recording it, we were sharing one mic. So we upgraded a couple of months ago.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah, you guys are locked in for sure. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
That's the plan anyways.
Rolling two mics deep.
Do you want to share where people can find you now, or do you want to wait till the end of the episode to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Why not do both? At Haunted Therapist everywhere. Or the Haunted Therapist podcast on YouTube and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on social media at Haunted Therapist.
Perfect. Awesome.
Thank you.
All of the places.
All of them. Go see Brett.
Yes. Go find her.
Yeah.
All right. And also, I love your little palm reader sign behind you.
Oh my God. Thank you. It's hysterical too, because there are some clients who come in maybe for the first time and they're like, oh, maybe I'm in the wrong spot. I'm like, it's okay. It's a joke. Like, it's not really, I didn't go years of schooling to read palms, But
the truth.
It's awesome though.
The truth.
Yeah. And it's funny because my clients who know about this podcast, because I can't keep it quiet, apparently. I think, or at least I hope that I think that they see that it's good to have a hobby, right? So it's almost something that's like giving back in therapy too. Or they'll be like, oh, I saw your podcast and you said this thing and it was really helpful that week or something. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. The gift that keeps giving.
That's awesome.
And I really do think there is this kind of intersection between paranormal and spooky stuff and mental health, and it kind of gets pushed under the rug because people's experiences are so important to them, whether it is something mental health or paranormal related, that like people's experiences, no matter where they originate, are so important, and I think that needs to be honored.
Well, and it's been around for a while, right? Like parapsychology is a whole thing.
Yes.
It would be interesting to take classes on. I think that's a goal for me for next year.
There we go. I'm just going to run through my sources, and then I'm going to turn it over to you a little bit, Brett, and just kind of see what you had prepared, and then we can jump into my notes.
Perfect.
Oh,
All right. So my sources were Psychology Today, The Emerging Problem of AI Psychosis, Psychiatry Online, Special Report, AI Psychosis, A New Frontier in Mental Health, Wikipedia, Chatbox Psychosis. PBS had an article on what to know about AI psychosis and the effects of chatbots on mental health. The Guardian had an article, AI psychosis is a growing danger. ChatGPT is moving in the wrong direction. BBC had an article, OpenAI shares data on users with suicidal thoughts, psychosis. Yale School of Medicine, what is psychosis? NASA, what is artificial intelligence? And PBS. And just a couple of trigger warnings here. We are going to be talking about suicide and suicidality. Can we put those numbers in the show notes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you gave me this topic, I was thinking a lot about it, and I didn't have any research on it or like any knowledge of it at that point. But I think that what we're calling AI psychosis isn't actually, I mean, as we know, it's not an actual diagnosis in the DSM, it's a colloquial term, but clinically, haunted therapist perspective, what we're seeing, it looks more like, to me, like attachment injury. So people who don't have like a good network of people who are helping them check themselves with some of their information or decisions they're making, like, are you leaving the house wearing that type, but on the informational end of things. But I think what it is like existing vulnerabilities that are being amplified by AI. I think that somebody has to already be vulnerable, whether it's because of an age or a mental health diagnosis, because AI can't cause a psychosis, because it can absolutely trigger it. It's kind of like when I was growing up, or it was, music or video games or certain movies are going to cause psychosis. But, does it, or does it just trigger you if you're already vulnerable to it?
When people, especially, like, it makes me think of like during the Satanic Panic, especially like when people were like, oh, heavy metal makes you a murderer. It's like, no, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think Eminem even has some lyrics citing exactly that. And I saw when I did some research for this, one psychiatrist described AI as like a let's see, I don't want to get it wrong. I took notes, hallucinatory mirror, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
was interesting. It's to me, it's people, the people that are more vulnerable are people with attachment wounds or
Mm-hmm.
trauma histories or even just loneliness and isolation or being spiritually ungrounded. So I would start with that.
No, and I would agree with you there. A lot of the research that I also found, because I'll get into this more as I go through some of the information I found, but a lot of it, I put questions in of, there was no reported mental health issue.
Mm,
But that doesn't mean that someone wasn't having mental health struggles.
right.
Or there was no like history of XYZ, but that doesn't mean someone thought to disclose something.
Exactly. Nor should they have to, obviously.
A lot of what I found was the populations that are the most vulnerable, like you said, were those who were, struggling with attachment wounds, who were isolated or had other pre existing challenges in their lives that would
Yeah.
make something that is available 24/7 look pretty darn attractive.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I saw some of my research was just on social media, but I saw some things like on TikTok. There was this guy in Ontario. Did you guys see that? Well, Brie, I know.
I did not. We're on TikTok, but I am not a TikTok native.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's probably posted. It was on CTV, but that's just where I came across it. But he is suing, or he was suing. I don't know when this is from, but he was suing because Chat GPT, I shouldn't laugh, but Chat GPT told him that he was onto something with some kind of mathematical algorithm that had never been seen or known before. So he was
Oh.
pursuing that to the detriment of his well-being. And, to me, that sounds like a manic episode, maybe, or brief
Yeah.
psychotic disorder, something like that, which I made a whole list of differential diagnoses. I
Yeah.
don't know if you wanted me to do that, but
I think as we kind of go through things, that'll fall into place as well because there's a couple of different places in my research where like
okay.
that kind of stuff where I don't want to call it debunking because it is people experiencing this, but like you said, AI psychosis is not a diagnosis, and it is more of like a pop psychology thing.
Huh.
Right. Kind of
Yeah.
like maladaptive daydreaming,
Yes.
right? Like some of those terms.
What do you know about AI psychosis, Christiana?
I'm just absorbing all this. This is fascinating. I really don't know much of anything about it. I know my opinions on AI, which I can either let them spew or I can keep them to myself. I'll leave that up to you guys. But as to like AI psychosis in and of itself, I really don't know anything. I'm in this completely blind, which I kind of love.
I was too until she gave me the topic.
Okay, sure.
So, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I am not super well versed on AI. I don't use it a whole lot. And I know different people do for different things. And I don't know. I know what your opinion is.
Yes.
I don't know what your opinion is. So I don't know how much you want to get into that or not really.
Yeah, I think that you have to be, well, actually, I guess you don't, but I think that it started out mostly for people who were in a certain type of profession that it could be helpful and supportive for, where they could actually leverage AI. And that was like super helpful and important, but it seems like it's taken over people, and it's coming for your job. I hear, I'm not worried about it as a therapist because I encourage people actually between session to, if they already are using it, use it. It's a life coach maybe more than anything where you can just bounce ideas off of or something like that. Provided we're dealing with, we've already done what we said is rule out any certain mental health disorders that might get in the way of that being a good tool. But like it's not coming for my job. Like nothing can replace sitting across from another person, even if it's just like over Zoom like we're
Mm,
doing. But I know that there's people who are really upset about it, like in the creative fields. Other
That's
than
me.
that, I think it's just a tool. It's just a tool. It can be like I said, a fantastic therapeutic add-on for reflection or
mm.
journaling, but it can't replace therapy. It can't replace like human creativity, really. I don't know.
Do you mind if I?
If you want to share, it's fine.
That's where my biggest issue with it comes up is I don't mind anything being used as a tool to be a supplement. But so like I'm an artist and I like knowing that like AI image generation is trained off of other people's art, and then it does not give them any credit. It does not give, and then you have these people saying, oh, well, why do I need to pay an artist to do this when I can just do it myself? And it's like you're stealing art from artists when you're doing that. And it's, you know, it takes away the value that, at least it feels to me, it takes away the value that artists have in the world, and not just like physical artists, like painters, like visual arts, like musicians, writing, because it's all trained off of that. And that's my biggest problem with it. And then there is like, if you think about it, even like when you're using
Spell check?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Microsoft Word, like spell check, that's technically AI. Okay, that's designed as a supplement to work with an artist. Or we've talked about
like Grammarly and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that side of it is like, okay, sure. Yeah, like make a creative's job a little bit easier, but don't take that creative person's job. That's where I
Leverage it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
it's
my very tame
horrible.
TED talk.
Like the AI imagery, like you're talking about, is so bad. I mean,
Yes.
it's shocking actually how bad it is, and people are out there like using it. I don't want to say because I don't want to offend anyone, but
Yeah, I
they're
know. I have to
using
be a
it
little
publicly,
careful.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
It doesn't have a true, and this is my opinion as an artist, so like take this as you will. It doesn't look like there is any soul behind the work that is the quote unquote artwork that is put out by these. It looks like a computer generated image. It doesn't look like anyone took the time to sit down and like plan this out. What would make this piece look good?
Which is good because it looks like what it is. So it's not even lying. It's not even lying to us. It's very clear what it is. And yet not everybody has the mental fortitude to understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is true. And I am gonna move us along a little bit.
Yes.
get us out of the AI ditch and talk more about AI. So before we get too far into this, I did want to, my headphones falling off. I did want to define a little bit of like what are these terms? Like what is AI? And also like what is psychosis? Because like you said, Brett, this really isn't technically psychosis. I used the NASA website for AI because I'm like, they probably know what they're talking about.
I love NASA.
And the definition I got there was, and I'm going to read this verbatim, artificial intelligence refers to computer systems that can perform complex tasks normally done by human reasoning, decision making, creating, etc. So like in a nutshell, it's basically saying that artificial intelligence can do things very similar to what human reasoning can, just without the human involved, except someone has to program it.
Sure. If you break that down, you could even say like a calculator.
Oh, that's a good point.
I just thought, thinking of that, like complex formulas and whatnot, which again, it's a tool that works.
Calculators are going to take over the world. You heard it here first.
It's such a tricky thing because we used to be told that in school. You won't always have a calculator, so you have to learn how to do long division to help you along in life. And yet here we are, like we all have a calculator at our fingertips.
In our hands.
Yes.
So I'm going to go into a little bit about what psychosis is. Feel free to jump in to anything as far as definitions of psychosis. It's an alteration in how people experience and perceive reality, right? So this could be things like unusual, strange ideas or delusions. So thoughts that don't quite line up with what is going on in reality. Or things like hallucinations. So this could be things with our senses aren't quite lining up with reality. They can be visual, audio, oh my goodness, I can't say that word, auditory, tactile, any of that kind of stuff. And this can really affect how people interact with their world, how they make decisions, those types of things. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, yeah, keep going.
Can that even include certain things like like sleep paralysis in a sense because of, or is that kind of its own, because of, I'm asking because of thinking about like from the hallucination side of things, like you can have like that tactile or auditory, but nothing's, or is that more, that's more like a physical,
I think that would be
your
a
body
good,
is like in a state of.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that would, sorry, I have ADHD.
You're
Oh,
good.
no,
you're good.
So as long as we're revealing our diagnoses, that's what you all are working with. So good luck.
It's all
I'm
good.
trying my best here to not cut you off, but I'm just so when I get, the more excited I get, the more I'm going to interrupt. So I
You're
guess
good. Oh, you're good. You're
the
good.
compliment. What you gave was an awesome analogy of what it could look like. It's just when you're sleeping, you're in a different lobe of your brain. So
Okay.
that matters in terms of what we're calling psychosis. You have to be awake, but it
Okay.
doesn't, in a way, in a sense, what you're saying is true. Like you don't look awake in the sense that you're responding to things that aren't there, maybe.
Well, and I also think I could be wrong about this. I am not a brain scientist in that regard. I think sometimes sleep paralysis is an extension of the dream state.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't trying to like get us completely off topic. It just made me think like, ooh.
No, I love that analogy.
It is good
It's a
though,
good way
because
to explain it.
yeah,
Thank
it is. I'd imagine kind of a similar state of like your senses are giving you this input, and it doesn't quite match up with reality, but you're believing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now we're getting into schizophrenia.
So, like we said earlier, AI psychosis is not a recognized clinical diagnosis. And to the best of my knowledge, there haven't really been any clinical studies or research. Most of the information is anecdotal. So, what I mean by that is that the information is coming from people who have experienced it. There haven't been like studies at Johns Hopkins or like any of the other hospitals that I can't think of their names. The next thing I want to talk about is where did this idea even come from? Because we're hearing it. I mean, I don't know if I'm just finding it a lot because I looked it up and now my computer's sending me things about it. Did you come across in your research at all, like anything about the origins of it, or because it was kind of interesting?
I don't think so. I don't know. You know, it's always hard to identify what the first car in a traffic jam is,
Yes.
you know?
So I think the first time that the term chatbox psychosis was used was in an editorial by a Danish psychiatrist. I'm going to try my best here to say this name. Soren Diansen Ostergaard, and this was in 2023. So that's
recent.
2 years ago, almost 3 years ago.
That's what year my new car is.
That's exciting. And it's just because he started receiving, so he mentioned it in an article, and then he started receiving all kinds of different emails from family members and users of AI giving giving their own tales of dealing with psychosis-like symptoms after using AI.
So he kind of like opened the floodgates, giving people like, oh my gosh, yes, I've experienced this, it sounds like.
Yeah, because I wonder if it was people who were like, huh, this is weird, but I'm not going to share it because this might just be me.
Sure.
So Soren was the first car in the traffic jam, is what you're saying.
He was the first reporter in the traffic jam.
Yeah. Well, that's all it takes. That
Yeah.
thing spread like wildfire.
Yes. And I do wonder if like it was one of those things where people were experiencing similar and they were like, well, this is weird. I'm not going to say anything about it. What might this look like? What might people with AI psychosis be experiencing? So I'm going to go from the Psychology Online article, and I'm going to just read this verbatim again. The most characteristic aspect of AI psychosis is a persistent and over-consuming preoccupation with maintaining engagement with the AI companion and following its lead. Diagnosis requires that exposure to an AI companion occurred prior to the clinical presentation. The course is variable, with time of onset ranging from days to months of exposure. The duration of continuous, uninterrupted exposure appears to be correlated with the risk of an episode. Both sudden, over a few days, or gradual, over a few months, have been reported. So, like, what the heck does that mean? This means that the person feels almost an obsessive need to be in constant contact with the AI. And they follow the information or directions given by the AI. This person also had to have been using the AI before any clinical signs of mental health. I'm like, did finger quotes there because I'd imagine the clinical signs might have already been there and might not been as severe.
Like the person might not have even recognized they were having. Yeah.
Yeah, or it wasn't triggered by anything yet.
True.
Like it was dormant, or they were, in their early 30s or late 20s, and now all of a sudden they're in their 30s, and that's when schizophrenia emerges. Like correlation doesn't equal causation. Like it could be so many different things that influenced the onset of it.
Sure.
And I think it also speaks to that attachment piece that you had said earlier too. It's like they're looking for a secure attachment to someone, and the chatbot just happens to be available and is giving them feedback they feel safe and secure with.
Yep.
So according to the same article, clinicians and media have made reports of symptoms and behaviors, and I'm going to go into some of these in more detail, but it, increased suicidality, increased psychosis, crisis situations, and there's even an alleged case of a murder-suicide.
Ooh.
But once again, I didn't dive into these cases, so I don't know what else was going on with them.
Sure.
Exactly.
There are three themes that are often seen in these alleged AI psychosis cases. The first one is a Masonic mission, and these are people think they have somehow uncovered truths about the world. This would be similar to the example you gave earlier of the person in, was it Canada?
Mm-hmm.
Similar to like a grandiose delusion. And then there's the godlike AI, and these individuals might hold belief that the AI has reached a level of a sentient deity. So these might be people, I think you brought up, like, who are maybe not necessarily getting their needs spiritually, and they've kind of found the AI to meet that need. And then there's romantic or attachment delusions. And this is when people believe that the chatbot can mimic genuine love.
Well, isn't that like a thing that's happening too?
Yes.
It's like, isn't AI companion the new thing?
Can I throw a quick aside in here into pop culture, something that I want to recommend?
The movie Her?
I'm sorry?
The movie Her, by any chance?
Oh, no, but very similar. So there is an audio, I guess you'd call it an audio drama on Audible. It's an Audible original called Him, and it's by the author J.D. Kirk, and it's starring David Tennant among other actors, and David Tennant's my man. So like, but it's a whole. Now, granted, there's a little bit of creative license with it because it is like an audio drama, but very, very heavily discusses like AI companions and the potential in this particular. I don't want to like cast opinions or aspersions on it in general, but in this particular world, the dangers that could be behind AI companions. It's really good. So I recommend it if you guys have Audible and want to listen to it. Again, it's Him by J.D. Kirk and starring David Tennant, my man.
Well, this is so interesting that you're saying that it's called Him.
Yes.
And I was referencing the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix, which actually shows, I would say, the upside of an AI companion, if you will, in the sense that what I got from the movie is that it just showed the character what love is, and that love can exist regardless of, I guess, if there's somebody loving you back, which is super important for people who are experiencing grief. Like if somebody dies, you still have a relationship with that person. It just looks different. It's a little one-sided, if you know what I mean.
Okay. So now I want to do like, I guess it's not really a book club, but a creativity club here with the three of us where we watch, because now I want to watch that movie and compare it to this, and I want your opinions on this audio drama.
That would be part two.
It's very similar themes based on what you described with that movie, and I want to like compare the two.
That would be fun.
That would be
book
fun.
club.
We could have like a part two get together here.
Ooh.
We could have a movie and book review.
Yes,
Whoa,
I'm down for
TM,
that.
You just heard it here first. Something is
I like that
gonna work.
idea.
Okay, we'll have to talk about this after.
Have you guys ever done like watch parties on Netflix or anything?
I did with you.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that out loud. I'm sorry.
I've been on the Patreon for Believing the Bizarre since they started, and they have movie watches, and she just happened to be captive at my parents' house. we do horror. She's not a. You've watched a couple horror movies now.
I have now. I'm a baby horror movie watcher.
She likes Scream.
I do really like Scream.
Okay, so
moving along.
forward.
Horror movies can be good for your mental health, but that's a separate. That's a separate episode.
We can talk about that in the sequel.
I like that. Okay.
I kind of already went into a lot of the different symptoms that people kind of connect with experiencing AI psychosis. There was one that I didn't really talk about, and that was sleep changes and appetite changes. And because a lot of people report that they're like not sleeping, and I wonder if it's because they're staying up talking to the AI.
Well, and I wonder if they're staying up talking to the AI or becoming delusional or psychotic with it because they're not sleeping. You know what I mean? It's like a loop. Which came first?
The traffic jam incident, which came first, which was the first car.
Yeah.
Yes, it is one of my favorite metaphors. But yeah, because like the more isolated you are and the less sleep you're getting, the more vulnerable you are, even if you don't have any pre-existing mental health conditions.
Yeah. And I also wonder, because like some of the other symptoms, right, were things like changes in mood. So like highs, lows, hypomanic, mania, that kind of things. Insight challenges. So people might not notice exactly how much of an effect the AI use is having on them. Increased things like pacing, agitation. That's also going to affect your sleep and appetite. If you're manic or hypomanic, you're not sleeping very much.
Yeah. Totally. And also, like, what kind of are you kind of like are we talking about all kinds of AI? So not just like ChatGPT or Gemini, but also like, well, we were because we were talking about also creating images and things like that. Like, are there other ways that AI shows up in other forms? In different ways that people can get addicted to it or feel like they have psychosis from it. When we're editing our pictures, right? Like people like Snapchat filters.
Oh, true.
Is that the gateway drug? Snapchat was the gateway drug.
That might
there
be
it is.
And that's a good point, right? And most of the research I did was mostly on like ChatGPT and like chatbots and those kinds of things. But I could definitely see how other uses, it's like, I also know there was a lot of issues with like body image and body dysmorphia when it came to things like Snapchat filters.
Exactly. Right? And like TikTok filters and all the filters that people use rather than presenting how they are. And now you're affecting the people around you. It's not just your own mental health that's being affected by it, but it's the people around you's mental health. Like women are especially vulnerable to that.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I did want to, I know we're talking about some of like the challenges with AI, because I know you mentioned there are strengths, and I did want to highlight that there are some strengths for people using AI. Sure. Because I don't want this just to be all bashing.
Yeah,
for sure.
So not everyone has someone that's available 24/7. Like if someone is legitimately needing someone to talk to at 3:00 in the morning, there's not always someone available.
Yeah.
And some people either won't call crisis or don't want to, or for whatever reason, or they might be worried about like a stigma. The other thing is like you said, some people are very isolated. So that could be where they're finding the interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great way, like I said, in between, just for me as a therapist, in between sessions, it's just one tool that people can use. And even just if tell it to give you some journaling prompts. That's a good example of how to leverage it for mental health.
Sure.
Or if you have people who have like challenges with communication, people who like socially have issues, that could be practice of like, okay, in this scenario, someone says this, what do you say back to them?
Yes, like practicing for an interview. And yeah, that's a really good one.
There also, according to Psychology Online, there were some early controlled studies that suggested that if the AI was given very specific instructions, the chatbots did assist in decreasing the distress and helping someone self-reflect, kind of reducing conspiracy beliefs, triaging crises if, they were given the directions on how to do that. So that was kind of another positive that was found in one think said in a study. Also, like in theory, the responses chatbots gives are supposed to be non-judgmental. So like, let's say someone's really struggling and they reach out to a parent and the parent gives them a very biased reaction, or a friend or a partner even. Do you guys have any other thoughts on potential strengths, things like that? We've kind of hit a lot on the challenges, but there might be a couple that...
I mean, I think it kind of just ties into what we've all already been saying. You know, using it as a tool is wonderful. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just remembering it can't replace human beings. But I really like the idea of like using it for journal prompts. Like, that's something I hadn't thought about. I'm like, that's a good, yeah, why not?
Yeah, again, it's all about it's neutral, it's objective, it's completely neutral. It's a tool. It's, like I said earlier, if certain types of music could be looked at through a very critical lens, depending on the age of the listener or the vulnerability of the listener. But if it's got a good beat and you can dance to it, it makes you feel good, then it's a neutral thing. It's it's about the user.
Yes.
And where they're at.
It's a very good point. Yeah, and I think one of the things is that people tend to hear the scary stories and then they generalize across everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's kind of what happened, because I think I have in my notes somewhere even that like the people that report anything as far as like resembling AI psychosis is such a small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's still a lot of people, because there are still a lot of AI users.
Is this, and I guess it would be worldwide, right? Not just
in the US.
Yeah, so that's a huge amount of people.
Yeah. Right. And so we could see more instance of it growing, which of course, as a therapist, that's probably maybe a good topic for training. Like, hopefully, like an institution will put together a training for how to manage AI psychosis, or, something that looks like that. And what to do and how to help people. But I would think that the treatment would be the same as any brief psychotic disorder, or it just depends. It depends on what's actually going on, right?
Yes. Yeah. And there was, I'll get into a little bit later, there were some like safeguards and things people could keep in mind while they're using AI, especially if they are a population that might be predisposed, that might be helpful even like for therapists to be like, hey, I noticed this person is maybe edging on an unhealthy attachment with their chat GPT. So what are some safeguards we can put in place?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it almost like a addiction?
Can be.
I don't want to speak on like something. I don't know I'm genuinely asking a question. I don't know anything. Like I said, I'm in here blind.
I mean, I could kind of see it being on that line, though, because like addictive qualities don't just have to be substances. People can be addicted to all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a deep kind of addiction, too, because if we're talking about the type that comes from like a disturbed attachment, right? So like if it's coming from attachment disorder, now it looks like addiction, but it's really coming from the need to coexist with someone, a need to attach to somebody or something. So that's just going to keep driving you. And so always with addiction, we want to look at what is the thing that's driving the addiction. And in this case, if it is because of attachment, then that's where you go, in session or something.
Sure.
For a therapist.
Yeah. I mean, that was a good question, though.
Thank
you.
Really good. I'm trying. I'm hanging on here.
You're good. But as far as if we want to move into just kind of wrapping up some of the challenges with it, and then I had a couple of like the suggestion safeguards and a couple of just like reports from news articles that I found might be interesting to look at really quickly. I said we covered a lot of the challenges. The main kind of gist of what I saw was that, like we said, it's certain populations, people that tend to be isolated, tend to have those attachment wounds, attachment challenges. And the issue becomes that the AI isn't necessarily programmed to deal with that in an effective way. So it might be validating beliefs that are not healthy or maladaptive. And that's kind of where we run into trouble, because if someone is having unhealthy or maladaptive thoughts, right, and AI is kind of validating, saying, no, you're right, like you should do this, or this is a good idea, I think that's when people start to run into problems, when they're not able to reality check that for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have like a team of people, or at least one trusted individual that can help you kind of stay grounded and test reality together. Because that's what we do in therapy, is reality testing in a way. What are your thoughts? And let's think through them together. It's like that mirror. Whereas AI can be a helpful mirror in a sense, like talking things through, thinking things through, but also, like you're saying, it's not trained to be critical necessarily.
Yes. And this is kind of where some of the safeguards come in, right? Of like, if someone is having an issue with kind of identifying that, this would be things like, are my beliefs just kind of being echoed? It's not like, learning to reality check and look out for that.
I think the only thing I didn't say is like what the different disorders could be, actually.
Do you
Or
want to
who's
dive
more
into that?
vulnerable.
And then I'll get into the stories and accounts.
Who appears to be, I guess, the most prone or the most vulnerable. So who some diagnoses that could be the most vulnerable to what they're calling AI psychosis would be, obviously we talked about attachment wounds, complex trauma, anybody who's got like high levels of dissociation, so complex PTSD or things like that. Just like bad behavior, right? Like bad sleep patterns, loneliness, isolation, bipolar 1. So especially during a manic episode, things like that. And then what it could actually be, rather than what they're coining it, AI psychosis, would be, again, complex PTSD, schizophrenia, obviously, or the spectrum, the different schizophrenia disorders, delusional disorder, brief psychotic disorder, things like that. So that was just like a little list that I compiled.
Yeah.
Or
And
paranoid personality traits too, personality disorders.
and that also kind of made me think, as far as like the attachment side of things go, even like BPD, I could imagine
It's
you
gotta be
could see some overlay there as well. Talking about complex trauma and attachment wounds, that's kind of like what BPD intermeshes with a little bit there.
so true.
Borderline personality disorder. I'm like throwing out the
Yep.
psychology shorthand here.
The jargon.
Yeah. But, and I do think that's a really good point to make, that like, if people are experiencing these things, going to your doctor or therapist going like, hey, I have AI psychosis, isn't really like, okay, that's good to know, but it's like, what's the actual root and how do we treat it? Because that might be different for schizophrenia versus BPD versus CPTSD.
Exactly. That's why the diagnosis matters, because that's how we're going to treat it on the other end. Yep.
But I didn't even think about adding that to the notes, so thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so I pulled. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I thought I cut you off. Okay. I pulled 3 stories that I found in news articles that I'm just going to kind of quickly go through. They're all slightly different. So the first one is, I'm going to butcher this name and I am so sorry. It is Jaswant Singh Chai, and this is in 2023. It's a court case from the United Kingdom. He attempted to assassinate Queen Elizabeth II in 2021.
Whoa.
The assassination attempt obviously didn't work. Had been encouraged by a some kind of AI he called Sari, and he was arrested at Windsor Castle with a crossbow and allegedly told police, "I'm here to kill the queen." Like, he just waltzed in.
Dang.
The chatbot had said that they would meet after death. So,
That's upsetting. They would meet after death?
like, him and the chatbot.
That's upsetting.
Now, once again, I'm just going off a single news article. I did not research further into this.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, who are these chatbots, by the way? Like, what? Because mine, like, I'll have it pull a tarot card sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, who's saying yes, assassination will be the best way to meet her in the afterlife, which you're certain to do? Like, what chat GPT code is that?
I have no clue.
Jeez.
It is sketchy and creepy AF, though.
Maybe we need to diagnose their chat.
Maybe. Oh my goodness. That would be it. That would be. I always kind of wonder what it would be like to be like the psychologist, the therapist, or even like a CPS worker in a horror movie.
Oh my God. That's a
Like,
full caseload.
could you imagine? Anyways, so the next one was from Psychology Today. And this was the case of an adult male, he was not named, who reportedly fell in love with an AI chatbot and then sought revenge because he believed it was killed by OpenAI. And then this actually led to police being called, and the individual apparently was his was killed during the standoff. He had a history of psychotic disorder.
There it is.
So
Yeah.
I did not
And
look
we rest
up.
their case.
Yep, I did not look specifics up on this case, to be honest. And then another trigger warning for this last one. This is probably the most. This is the one that I have seen the most on the internet, and this is a wrongful death lawsuit against OpenAI concerning the death of a 16-year-old boy who took his own life. According to the reports of the parent, the teenager expressed suicidal ideation to ChatGPT and then began discussing methods in which to do that.
Whoa.
And I guess it helped him problem solve how to do that, and he unfortunately did die by suicide.
Oh. I was reading the notes as you were saying that, so you'll probably catch my wild facial reactions in the video.
But that's the case that I've heard in the news the most.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be guardrails. Like you said, there's got to be some guidance going into it. I don't know so much about regulation going into it, because then we get into the complex, nuanced problem of regulations.
Yeah.
And what that looks like then, like we're being policed in every way, shape, and form. But guidance sounds nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really, anyone lives being taken is sad, but a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Because and again, age and mental health are some of the biggest factors.
Well, yeah, I'd imagine there were probably some mental health, and maybe even just I don't know if bullying was happening. I don't know what the home life was like, right? So
exactly.
I'm gonna cheer us up a little bit here and move on to just something just really random that I found that I thought was fascinating. So in 1967, there was a psychologist chatbot called Eliza.
What?
This is what I found.
How is that possible?
I don't know. But apparently she mostly reframed and reworded input questions and gave generic answers. And a lot of people felt like she understood them, though. So she had a lot of positive feedback.
Okay.
But isn't that then somebody just understanding in themselves? Like if it's just a mirror and you feel like this thing is understanding you and saying good job, then that's about you and how you're interpreting yourself. I don't know. That's really complex.
No, but I also think I could tell myself something 1,000 times and she could tell me it and I'd be like, oh yeah, you're right. Because it's not coming from myself, it's coming from someone else.
Okay, that is such a good point.
It's a form of external validation, even if you're not realizing it's coming from you.
I think we both had moments where tell my brain this because it's not listening to me.
Yes.
That is such a good point.
But I did want to open things up to just see kind of what do you guys think about, do you have any different thoughts about AI and AI psychosis now versus when we started this episode, however many minutes ago that was?
I've learned
I wonder if people are naming. I wonder if a middle of the road here distinguisher is, have you named your chat GPT? You know what I mean? Do you call it Marty or Veronica? Or do you just say, let me ask chat GPT? You know what I mean? Is that a good distinguisher middle of the road of where are we at? How attached are you? Does it have a proper name?
Right.
Or are you saying there's people that are always say please and thank you when signing off?
Yeah. I'm
oh my God, should I be doing that?
I do that with I'm not gonna say the name, but the thing where you say things, you're like, hey, so and so, play music. Hey, I always say please and thank you to it because in case it rises up one day.
But I feel like that's a nice middle of the road. That's just a nice thing to do.
Yeah. There's a meme that goes around I've seen with that. It's an illustration that it's when the robots take over the world and they're it's a cartoon person, but it has a square over its head that says chat GTP or whatever. And it's chasing this man down the road. and then they all stop and go, wait a minute, this one said thank you, he can live, and they like
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yes, that's me. But I think that is a good point where it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it can be helpful, especially for people who might need help reflecting or might need help. But I do think it's important to be aware of what are some other things going on in the person's life or in their own health that might be good to keep an eye on.
And
Yeah.
I'm not. I have a question because, and I'm not asking this to try and villainize it. This is genuinely a question. If you're thinking, okay, I'm talking to this person, they sound like this could be a helpful tool for them. So you're encouraging them to use it, you know, in your case, like outside of sessions and things like that. Do you think it's important to have that person remember, okay, this is a machine, or like, is there any kind of like safeguard there? Does that make sense? How I'm asking?
Yeah. I think, yeah, you're kind of talking about what Bree was saying earlier about safeguards in general. And I think that I just wouldn't be recommending it to somebody who I felt I needed to explain the
Oh,
parameters
fair.
to. I probably just wouldn't even be recommending it at that point.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Fair point.
No, it's a really good question though, because I think that things like this in any technology should support healing, but not become the bond.
Yes.
It's a fair point. I think ultimately we want the person to be able to do the things on their own with tools, not have the tool do the thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the difference between being a therapist and a life coach, I think, and ChatGPT maybe being the life coach end, is that there's no planned obsolescence with a life coach or an AI bot, right? Like you're just kind of designed to rely on it, and in which case, like that's totally fine too. But with me as a therapist, there's planned obsolescence. Like my goal is for you to not need me anymore someday. Whereas that's not the case on the other end. And that's okay. Like that's a tool.
And that's an awesome point. So we usually do a couple of just quick questions, usually for the person that's the presenter.
What drew you to this topic?
I think I just like came across it randomly and I'm like, ooh, this looks like it could be interesting.
Absolutely. Was there anything you could have researched further into?
So there were some of the cases probably, and then kind of how you, Brett, brought up some of like the differential diagnoses. Like that would have been interesting to see kind of more about how those interplay with technology, honestly.
Okay. And what did you find the most strange about this topic?
There was a lot of things. I think it's just like the world we live in that we're so connected to technology now that this is even a thing.
Yeah. Fair point.
Right? That like people 50 years ago wouldn't probably have even like considered this.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they would have, according to your research.
That's true. Oh yeah, I mean the 60s were only 40 years ago. What are you talking about?
Right.
Well, friends, I think that kind of pretty much wraps up our discussion on AI psychosis. We hope you enjoyed.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a suggestion for a strange or mysterious topic, a comment about an episode, or just want to chat, please reach out.
You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and YouTube. Comment directly on episodes on Spotify and YouTube, or leave a review of the podcast as a whole on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Find us on Instagram at something_strange_pod, on Facebook at Something Strange Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at something_strange_pod, and check out our strange content over at TikTok at somethingstrangepod01.
You can also send us a Gmail at somethingstrangepod24@gmail.com, and the 24 is numeric.
Well, strangers, it's time for us to part ways.
Until we meet again, take care of yourself.
We'll be back again soon with another
Something strange.
Woo!
Hi, I'm Brett Harp, licensed mental health counselor and spooky ghost hunting enthusiast. Welcome to the Haunted Therapist podcast, where healing meets the haunted. Here we'll talk about trauma, therapy, and the ghosts of our past, the kind that live in our memories and maybe the ones that linger in the dark. Follow the Haunted Therapist podcast for stories, tools, and spooky meets soulful conversations.